بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد حسین ظلم میں جینا سکھا دیا تو نے حسین ظلم میں جینا سکھا دیا تو نے لہو کو اپنے مسیحا بنا دیا تو نے ملوکیت کے اندھیروں سے روشنی نکلی ملوکیت کے اندھیروں سے روشنی نکلی حقیقتوں کا افق جگمگا دیا تو نے حسین ظلم میں سلوات ایک دور سلامی دنیا کا صدیوں میں ایسا آتا ہے ایک دور سلامی دنیا کا صدیوں میں ایسا آتا ہے جب کوئی پیغمبر اٹھتا ہے یا کوئی شہادت پاتا ہے جب کوئی پیغمبر اٹھتا ہے یا کوئی شہادت پاتا ہے ایک دور سلامی دنیا کا صدیوں میں ایسا آتا ہے جب نوح کعبے والوں کا رو رو کر کوئی سناتا ہے جب نوح کعبے والوں کا رو رو کر کوئی سناتا ہے سینے میں روح لرزتی ہے جینے سے جی گھبراتا ہے ایک دور سلامی دنیا کا صدیوں میں ایسا آتا ہے اے نہر فرات نہر فرات افسوس کر اپنی قسمت پر اے نہر فرات نہر فرات افسوس کر اپنی قسمت پر کوثر کا ساقی آج تیرے ساحل سے پیاسا جاتا ہے ایک دور سلامی دنیا کا صدیوں میں ایسا آتا ہے اے قہر خدا اس دنیا پر گرتی نہیں کیوں بجلی تیری اے قہر خدا اس دنیا گرتی نہیں کیوں بجلی تیری، گھر سے دور ایک پورا کنبہ جنگل میں لوٹا جاتا ہے، ایک دور سلامی دنیا کا صدیوں میں ایسا آتا ہے۔ انسان تیرے پتھر دل میں کیوں درد نہیں انسانوں کا، انسان تیرے پتھر دل میں کیوں درد نہیں انسانوں کا، دکھ دیتا ہے مظلوموں کو معصوموں کو ترساتا ہے، ایک دور سلامی دنیا کا صدیوں میں ایسا آتا ہے۔ سجاد اسیر جور ہوئے، افسوس کسی نے یہ نہ کہا، سجاد اسیر جور ہوئے، افسوس کسی نے یہ نہ کہا، یہ پاؤں ستون کعبہ ہے، زنجیر کسے پہناتا ہے، ایک دور سلامی دنیا کا صدیوں میں آتا ہے۔ سیماب نظر آتی ہے مجھے، ہر چیز اداس آسردہ، سیماب نظر آتی ہے مجھے، ہر چیز اداس آسردہ، فطرت غمگین ہو جاتی ہے جب ماہ محرم آتا ہے، ایک دور سلامی دنیا کا صدیوں میں آتا ہے، جب کوئی پیغمبر اٹھتا ہے، جب کوئی شہادت پاتا ہے، ایک دور سلامی دنیا کا صلوات۔ آخری سلام، آخری سلام، میری سکینہ، اس طرح نہ رونا میری سکینہ، اس طرح نہ رونا نہ میری بچی نا، اس طرح نہ رونا، تم جاؤ کہاں اللہ جانے، مقتل میں رہے کس حال میں ہم، تم جاؤ کہاں اللہ جانے، مقتل میں رہے کس حال میں ہم، اب خواب میں بابا آئیں گے، اب خواب میں بابا آئیں گے، چاہے شام کا ہو زندہ ہوئے، میری سکینہ، اس طرح نہ رونا۔ ہم جاتے ہیں ملنے بابا سے، اب لوٹ کے ہم کو آنا نہیں، کچھ دیر لپٹ جا سینے سے، پھر باپ کا سینہ ملنا نہیں، سو جانا جہاں پھوپھیاں کہہ دے، سو جانا جہاں پھوپھیاں کہہ دے، چاہے شام کا ہو زندہ ہوئے میری سکینہ، اس طرح نہ رونا نہ میری بچی نا، اس طرح نہ رونا۔ جانے دے مجھے میدان کی طرف، دینا یہ تجھے قربانی ہے، رہوار کے میرے پاؤں نہ پڑ، میری بچی تو سیدانی ہے، جینا ہے تجھے زہرا کی طرح، جینا ہے تجھے زہرا کی طرح، چاہے شام کا ہو زندہ ہوئے میری سکینہ، اس طرح نہ رونا۔ آپ پوچھ لے آنسو آنکھوں سے، تو دیکھ لے چہرہ بابا کا، کل ہو سکتا ہے کہ آ نہ سکے پہچان میں چہرہ بابا کا، ہم ساتھ تیرا نہ چھوڑیں گے، ہم ساتھ تیرا نہ چھوڑیں گے، چاہے شام کا ہو زندہ ہوئے میری سکینہ، اس طرح نہ رونا نہ میری بچی نا، اس طرح نہ رونا۔ عباس کا دل اکبر کی بہن، جس وقت بندھے گردن میں رسم، تم بابا بابا مت کہنا، تڑپے گا میرا بے گورو بدن، اصغر کی طرح سے چپ رہنا، اصغر کی طرح سے چپ رہنا، چاہے شام کا ہو زندہ ہوئے میری سکینہ، اس طرح نہ رونا نہ میری بچی نا، اس طرح نہ رونا۔ صلوات۔
محمد و آل محمد صلوات، اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد وعجل الفرج۔ تیرا غم حسین کریم میں رکھوں یوں سنبھال سنبھال کے تیرا غم حسین کریم میں رکھوں یوں سنبھال سنبھال کے، جو تو سامنے ہو تو اپنا دل رکھوں میں نکال نکال کے تیرا غم حسین کریم میں۔ چلی تیز ہوا ہر دور میں تیرے ماتمی کے خلاف ہے، چلی تیز ہوا ہر دور میں تیرے ماتمی کے خلاف ہے، پر ہم نے سیل رواں کیا، پر ہم نے سیل رواں کیا، آنسو اچھال اچھال کے تیرا غم حسین کریم میں، اور تیرے قافلے کا گزرنا وہ نہیں بھولا شام بازار سے، تیرے قافلے کا گزرنا وہ نہیں بھولا شام بازار سے، جہاں پتھر آگ اور پانی بھی، جہاں پتھر آگ اور پانی بھی پھینکا ابال ابال کے تیرا غم حسین کریم میں رکھوں یوں سنبھال سنبھال کے تیرا غم حسین کریم میں۔ کوئی سیج کو بدعت کہے، کوئی سیر مہدی امیر کے، کوئی سیج کو بدعت کہے، کوئی سیر مہدی امیر کے، خود اپنے بیٹوں کے واسطے، خود اپنے بیٹوں کے واسطے نعرے حلال حلال کے تیرا غم حسین کریم میں، اور کتنے زمانے گزر گئے ہیں یزید کتنے ہی مر گئے، کتنے زمانے گزر گئے ہیں یزید کتنے ہی مر گئے، تیرا عشق بڑھتا چلا گیا، تیرا عشق بڑھتا چلا گیا، عاشق کمال کمال کے تیرا غم حسین کریم میں، تیرے زخموں کا جو علاج ہے سنا کے آنسو ادا کے ہیں، تیرے زخموں کا جو علاج ہے سنا کے آنسو ادا کے ہیں، تیری پاک مادر لیتی ہے، تیری پاک مادر لیتی ہے آنسو رومال رومال کے تیرا غم حسین کریم میں ہے ضیاء یہی میری دعا ہو ظہور آخری شاہ کا ہے ضیاء یہی میری دعا ہو ظہور آخری شاہ کا لے وہ انتقام ہر ظلم کا لے وہ انتقام ہر ظلم کا قاتل نکال نکال کے تیرا غم حسین کریم میں رکھوں یوں سنبھال سنبھال کے تیرا غم. درود بر محمد. اللهم صل على
مومنین، ہمیں اسپانسرز کی ضرورت ہے ان مجالس کے لیے. جو بھی اسپانسر کرنا چاہے مل کر یا اکیلے، پلیز کومیل سے رابطہ کر لیں یا اسد سے رابطہ کر لیں ان 4 مجالس کے اسپانسرشپ کے لیے. میں مولانا طیب سے ریکویسٹ کرتا ہوں کہ مومنین سے خطاب فرمائیں. خوشنودی امام زمان، بلند تر صلوات. طیب کی صحت و سلامتی کے لیے بلند تر صلوات.
اللهم صل على محمد. اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. الحمد للہ الذی لا یبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا یوسی نامہ العدون ولا یؤدی حقہ المجتہدون الذی لا یدرکہ بحد الہمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالصخور ميدان أرض ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعن على أعدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وما كان لمؤمن ولا مؤمنة إذا قضى الله ورسوله أمرا أن يكون لهم الخيرة من أمرهم ومن يعص الله ورسوله فقد ضل ضلالا مبينا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As we had said yesterday, inshallah, the topics for these lectures will be the foundations or those incidents that were considered to be foundations for the events of Karbala. Yesterday we talked about one of the first foundations, which was the army or the expedition of Usama ibn Harith, and how the companion of the Holy Prophet, they disregarded the Amr, they disregarded the command of the Holy Prophet and did not go with Usama. The second incident that we want to talk about tonight is a topic which is talked about often in Islamic circles, and up until this day, people debate about what happened that night. This incident is known as Black Thursday. It happened 1400 years ago. What is this incident? To summarize this incident, you can see in Bukhari, you can see in Shia hadith, you can see in Sunni hadith that in Bukhari, for example, Abdullah ibn Abbas, he says that the Prophet was in the last moments of his life, and a lot of the companions, they had gathered at the house of the Holy Prophet at that time. And the Prophet, he said, bring me pen and paper so that I will write a will for you that you will never go astray after me. These are the words that Bukhari uses in his narration when he is talking about this incident. He says that Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said that the Holy Prophet said, bring me pen and paper so that I will write a will for you that you will never go astray after me. At this, Umar, he says the Prophet is talking nonsense. The Prophet is talking nonsense. The word that is used is more severe than its translation of nonsense. No, if you were to literally translate it, it would be translated as to the Prophet is delusional. There's a difference between saying the Prophet speaks nonsense and saying the Prophet is delusional, even in English. But the Prophet speaking nonsense. Who says this? Umar. What does he go on to say? He says that we have the Quran with us, and the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for us. The words of Umar ibn Khattab. And there were some people that objected to what Umar had said. And some of them, they demanded that paper and pen be brought. Why? Because the Holy Prophet has ordered pen and paper to be brought. And they said that the Holy Prophet himself is saying, you bring me pen and paper, I'll write something down which will keep you from going astray. So this tells us what? That what the Holy Prophet wanted to write down was very important, to the point where if the people, if the ummah of the Holy Prophet was to follow what was to be written, they wouldn't go astray. But what happened? There were some people that sided with Umar. And there was a commotion that started within the house. And they say that the noise increased so much that the Holy Prophet, then he got mad and he ordered everyone to leave. He got mad and he ordered everyone to leave. From this incident, there are some points that we can gather. One, the Holy Prophet, he wanted to write down something that would be beneficial to the Islamic Ummah. Two, he commanded that ink and paper be brought to him. Three, there was a commotion that arose in the house. Four, Umar, he says the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough. Five, the commotion reaches to such an extent that the Holy Prophet, he gets mad and he orders everyone to leave. 5. And then 6, Umar, he says that the Prophet is speaking nonsense. The Prophet is delusional. The Prophet is speaking nonsense. These 5, 6 points. When reading the incident, you can't help but wonder what the Holy Prophet wanted to write down. We Shias, we say that the Holy Prophet, he wanted to write down that Imam Ali alayhi salam was to be the successor after the Holy Prophet. Whereas Sunni ulama, Sunni scholars, they claim that he didn't want to write anything down. He just wanted to test the people to see whether or not they would obey the Holy Prophet. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The majority of Muslims, they say, no, he didn't want to write anything down. He just wanted to test the people. He just wanted to test the people. But why is this answer not sufficient? What's the problem with this answer? The problem is that how is it possible that the Holy Prophet is about to leave this world? He's on his deathbed, he's about to leave this world. And he says, I will write for you something that won't make you go astray. And we come to the conclusion that he didn't want to write anything at all. Sunni narrative, this is from Bukhari. The Holy Prophet himself, he's saying, I want to write something. Second, it needs to be kept in mind that it is clearly stated in the hadith that those were the last moments of the Holy Prophet's life. In those last moments of his life, this is the time to admonish the ummah. This is the time to warn the ummah. This is the time to forgive people that have committed some wrong against you. This is the time to apologize. This is a time to doing all this, not a time to test. If you were on your deathbed, what is it that you would do? You would gather your family members and you'd admonish them. You tell them, oh my sons, oh my daughters, always speak the truth. Oh my sons, oh my daughters, read the Quran. Oh my sons, oh my daughters, do not leave the path of Islam. You want to do something just to test them. You wouldn't say, my son, go bring me paper so I can write something for you that if you follow, you will never go astray. You wouldn't say this just to test them, to see whether or not they obey the command or not. No. When none of us would do this to our family, why is it that the Holy Prophet would do this to the ummah? How is it possible that the Holy Prophet would do this to the ummah? Just like yesterday, like I said, that incident that we spoke about yesterday, that was one of the first incidents where the group of Muslims, as a majmu'ah, as a jama'ah, as a whole group, disobeyed the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Disobeyed. And as a group, they waited until the last moment of the Holy Prophet's life to disobey as a group. All these events that have, the event that happened yesterday, the last moments of the Holy Prophet's life, the event that we're speaking about today, the last moments of the Holy Prophet's life. Like I said yesterday, there are two events that happened in the time period, in the time of the Holy Prophet, that laid the foundations to Karbala. There are two events that happened after he passed away in the time period of Amir al-Mu'mineen that laid the foundations of Karbala. And there's one incident that happened in the time of Imam Hassan alayhi salam that laid the foundation to the events of Karbala. Those 5 incidents, inshallah, those are the 5 incidents that we're talking about. This is the second incident that happened in the lifetime of the Holy Prophet that laid the foundations to the events of Karbala. The hadith of pen and paper. The second time as a group, they disobeyed the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Prophet. The second time. Why? Because when they disobeyed the first time, it emboldened them to disobey a second time. So now they disobey a second time. Think about it. Sunnis, they say that the Holy Prophet could not read or write. He could not read or write. That's a given. Sunnis, they say that the Holy Prophet, he could not read or write. If he could not read or write, then why is he in this hadith from Bukhari saying, bring me pen and paper so that I can write? So that I can write. This is from Bukhari. This isn't from Shia sources. This is from Bukhari. The Holy Prophet is saying, bring me pen and paper so I can write, not so I can dictate, so I can write for you something. This hadith shows that the Prophet, he knew how to write. He knew how to read. If he didn't know how to write, why would he ask for pen and paper? Why would he even say that so I can write if he didn't know how to write? Why? They asked Imam Riza alayhi salam this. Imam Riza alayhi salam, he said, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala curse these people that say this. How is it possible that the Holy Prophet has come as a teacher, as a guide to mankind, and he himself, he doesn't know how to read, he doesn't know how to write? How is this possible? There's a difference between not reading and not writing, and not being able to read and not being able to write. Not reading doesn't necessarily mean that I don't know how to read. No, it just means that I don't want to read. Not writing doesn't necessarily mean that I don't know how to write. It just means that I don't want to write. That's it. Look at the injustice that's happened to the Holy Alaykum Salam wa rahmatullah. Look at the injustice that's happened to the Holy Prophet. Because he didn't want to read, because he didn't want to write, his own ummah, his own people claimed him to be illiterate. His own people. The people of Prophet Musa alayhi salam never claimed that Prophet Musa alayhi salam was illiterate. The people of Prophet Isa alayhi salam never claimed that Prophet Isa alayhi salam was illiterate. The people of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam never claimed that Prophet Nuh, they were kuffar. The people of Prophet Nuh, they were mushrikeen, they didn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But they never claimed that the Prophet was illiterate. It's one thing not to believe him to be a prophet, but it's another to not to believe that this person is illiterate. You look at the people of Prophet Sulaiman, they never claimed that he was illiterate. No, only the people of the last prophet who claimed that, yes, their prophet was illiterate. He's come to guide all of mankind, and he himself is illiterate. What answer do these Muslims have when the Christians, they say, look at the Quran. Our prophet, who we claim to be the Son of God, our prophet, or who you claim to be a prophet, who we claim to be God or the Son of God, your Quran says that he spoke when he was in the cradle. Your Quran says that. And you yourself, you believe that your prophet was illiterate. So that means that our prophet, Nabiullah Isa, was greater than your prophet. Why? Because he could speak in the cradle. What answer do you have? No answer. But how is it possible that the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's about to leave this world, do something that you and I would not do to our own children? Meaning test the children when we're about to leave this world. And you claim that the Holy Prophet was doing that. In the last moments of our life, what do? We write a will, if we don't already have a will. In the last moments of our life, we write a will. And that's exactly what the Holy Prophet wanted to do. And he himself, he says in that narration, so that I will write a will for you that if you adhere to it, you'll never go astray. That's what the Holy Prophet wanted to do, write his will. If we accept the fact that no, he didn't want to write anything. He didn't want to write anything. Then you ask him, why did he ask for paper and pen? Oh, just for the sake of asking. First, we looked at testing. Why did he ask for pen and paper? Oh, to test. We answered that. If you asked him, why did he ask for pen and paper? Oh, he just asked for the sake of asking. Do any of us ask for something just for the sake of asking, or do we ask because we need it? Do we ask because we want it? Do we ask because we have use for it? No. If we ask something just for the sake of asking, that's what? That's a deficiency within us, this individual. This deficiency does not exist in the Masumeen. Meaning what? Meaning they do not ask just for the sake of asking. There's always a hikmah behind it. There's always wisdom behind it. If they're asking for something, there's a wisdom behind it. So there must be wisdom behind why the Holy Prophet is asking for something. He's not just like you and me, where he just asks for the sake of asking. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the Holy Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt al-Imam that he has purified them a thorough purification. This vain talk that you and I do, this vain talk doesn't exist for them. It doesn't apply to them. They don't have this type of vain talk. The talk that the prophets do, the talk that the Ahlul Bayt do, it's for the benefit of the individual, it's for the benefit of society. Everything they say, everything they do. It's not just for the sake of talking. It's not just for the sake of doing. We do some things just for the sake of doing. Meaning what? We'll do something just to waste time. Play video games, watch movies. We do this just to waste time. For the Ahlul Bayt al-Imam, for the prophets, no, they don't waste time like this. It's not becoming of them to waste time. That's not why they were sent here. They were sent here to guide all of mankind. So to say that the Holy Prophet asked just for the sake of asking, no. It's against hikmah, it's against wisdom to ask just for the sake of asking. Second, if we accept that no, he didn't want to really write down anything, what does that mean? That means that the Holy Prophet's words, bring me pen and paper so that I may write down something for you. That means that we're completely contradicting what he had said. That would mean that for him to contradict what he had said, that would mean that he's lying. He didn't want to write anything down. He didn't want to write anything down. If we were to believe that, no, he didn't want to write anything down, we'd have to believe, no, he truly didn't want to write anything down. Is that becoming of the Holy Prophet to lie? No. Like we just said, Ayatul Tathir, it takes away all of this. Rijz is a spiritual, rijz is a spiritual what? A spiritual dirt that needs to be cleansed. Rijz, when we talk about rijz or lying is rijz. It's a spiritual dirt that needs to be cleansed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says that he has cleansed the Ahlul Bayt of rijz. A thorough purification. So no, lying is beneath the Holy Prophet status. Fourth, when Umar, he says the Quran is enough. Because I want to look at everything that was said in this incident. Because everything that was said in this incident shows us how the foundation for Karbala was laid. Everything that was said. Umar, the first thing he says is, the Prophet, he speaks nonsense. The Prophet, he's delusional. He speaks nonsense. Do you know who used to say that the Prophet speaks nonsense when the Prophet was in Mecca? The mushrikeen of Mecca used to say he speaks nonsense. The mushrikeen. The polytheists used to say, alaykum salam wa rahmatullah. The polytheists used to say that the Prophet, he speaks nonsense. So these are the words of polytheists. These aren't supposed to be the words of a Muslim. Now you have Muslims in Medina describing the Holy Prophet the same way the mushrikeen of Mecca were describing the Holy Prophet. What does that tell you about these Muslims? It tells you that they were hiding within themselves what those mushrikeen were saying overtly. Those mushrikeen were out and about saying this man, he speaks nonsense. Now these Muslims in Medina, they waited until the last moments of the Holy Prophet's life to bring that out. They never dared. Even Umar, he never dared say that in the lifetime of the Holy Prophet when he was completely fine. No. He waited when? He waited until the Holy Prophet was on his deathbed. That's when he waited. But what does he say? He says that this man is delusional. This man, he speaks nonsense. Then the question gets asked, even after this incident, why didn't the Holy Prophet write a will? Why didn't the Holy Prophet write a will? We Shias, we say, no, he did write it. There's some narrations that say that he did write it. But even if majority of narrations, they say that he didn't write it. He just told everyone to leave. If he wrote it after that group who objected left, who was going to believe that it was him who wrote it? Who was going to believe? Umar, he had already attacked what? The mental state of the Holy Prophet now. By saying that the man is delusional, by saying that the man, he speaks nonsense, what has he done? He's attacked the mental state of the Holy Prophet. What were these people going to do tomorrow? If the Holy Prophet was to write the will, they would have said, no, he was delusional. He wasn't in the right state of the mind to write that will. This will is not acceptable. This will is not acceptable. This is what was going to happen. That's why the narrations, the ulama, they say that that's the reason the will wasn't written. Why? Because he attacked the Holy Prophet's intellect now. He attacked his state of mind. 2, what does Umar say? After he says the Prophet's delusional, he says, the Quran is enough. The Quran is enough. And you realize that a lot of the incidents that occurred after the Holy Prophet, for example, Siffin, what did they do with the Quran? Or what was the proclamation of Muawiyah in Siffin? When they put papers on top of the spears, what did they say? They said what? They said that only and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to judge between us. Meaning the Quran will judge between us. They put what Muawiyah did and Umaras did. Umaras, he told Muawiyah just to get some paper, just scribble on the paper and put it on spears and say that this is the Quran. We want the Quran to judge between us. And that's exactly what they did. And because of that, what happened? Malik Ashtar, he was in front of the tent of Muawiyah. If you look at the narrations, he was in front of the tent of Muawiyah. When the enemies of Amir al-Mu'mineen, the companions of Muawiyah and Siffin, when they put up those spears, the Khawarij that were in the camp of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And this is what a lot of people need to understand. The Khawarij they were with Amir al-Mu'mineen in Siffin. They were with Amir al-Mu'mineen in Siffin. Fighting against who? Muawiyah. Who did Amir al-Mu'mineen fight in Nahrawan? Those same Khawarij. Those same people that were in the army of Amir al-Mu'mineen in Siffin, those are the people that Amir al-Mu'mineen fought in Nahrawan. So can you imagine what kind of people Amir al-Mu'mineen had with him? Nahrawan. And you look at the people of, pick up history book, and they say the people of Nahrawan, they had the sign of prostration on their forehead. They had the signs of prostration on their forehead, the sign of sajda on their forehead. The people of Nahrawan, what did they used to do? Those Khawarij, they used to tie rocks, they used to tie pebbles and rocks around their stomach because they used to fast in the day. By doing that, they wouldn't have to hear the grumbling of their stomach. This is the type of people. Praying all day, all night, fasting all day. Yet they do not have the ma'rifat of the Imam of their time. They don't have the ma'rifat of the Imam of their time. So what does that tell you? Praying and fasting is not necessarily going to give you ma'rifat of the Imam. No. Malik Ashtar, he prayed, he fasted, but he had ma'rifat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Uwais Qarni, he prayed, he fasted, he had ma'rifat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Where did that ma'rifat come from? Where did that ma'rifat come from? Inshallah, by the end of the series, we'll look into where that ma'rifat came from. For each one of these companions, of the Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, who Amir al-Mu'mineen considered to be his Shia, the companions of Imam Hassan alayhi salam, who had ma'rifat of the Imam, the companion of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, who we all know about. But these are the type of people that were with Amir al-Mu'mineen. You look at the type of people that were with the Holy Prophet, you had people like Umar, you had people like Abu Bakr, you had people like Usman. You had all these other companions who only accepted Islam only for power. Only for power. But was it all of them? No. You had a few companions of the Holy Prophet who accepted Islam because they believed that what he was saying was absolute truth. But when Umar, he says the Quran is enough. Okay, no problem. The Quran is enough. Did he know the interpretation of the Quran for him to say the Quran is enough? Did he know the interpretation? Did he know where each and every single verse was revealed, why it was revealed, for whom it was revealed? Was it revealed in the daytime? Was it revealed at nighttime? Was it revealed in Mecca? Was it revealed in Medina? Was it revealed between Mecca and Medina? Did he know any of this? No, he didn't. No. So who is he to say the Quran is enough? 1, 2. Ghadir Qum. It had happened 3 months before the Holy Prophet passed away. Shia narrations, Sunni narrations, they both state what? The Shia narrations, they state that the Ahlul Bayt and the book. Sunni narrations, they state what? The book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Sunnah, Sunni narrations. But you also have Sunni narrations that say that the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Ahlul Bayt. In Ghadir Qum, the Holy Prophet did not say the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough. Even according to Sunni narration, the Holy Prophet stated what? The book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Sunnah. Even according to Sunni narration. So there's two things. The book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Sunnah. And now you have Umar that's saying that the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is enough? No, how is this possible? The ijtihad of Umar. Ijtihad of Umar. Ijtihad of Abu Bakr. Ijtihad of Usman. ijtihad of the companion of the Holy Prophet. When you look at Muawiyah and Amir al-Mu'mineen, that was Muawiyah's ijtihad. You look at Jamal, that was Aisha's ijtihad. Anyone that came and fought against the Ahlul Bayt, oh, that was their ijtihad that allowed them to do that. Anyone that came and fought against these other khulafa, no, those people were kafir. The khulafa were right in doing what they did. This is what the Muslims have turned Islam into. The first incident when Abu Bakr became Khalifa, the first incident that came to Abu Bakr was someone who was drinking. This person, he was drinking, he was caught drinking. They brought him in front of Abu Bakr, and Abu Bakr asked him, why were you drinking? Were you drinking? He goes, yes. He goes, did you not know that drinking is not allowed in Islam? And the man, he says, I didn't know that verses were revealed about this. I didn't know that the verses were revealed about this. Now Abu Bakr doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do. The punishment is there about someone who's drunk. But now Abu Bakr doesn't know what to do because the man is claiming that these verses were never read to me. I don't know about these verses. They were never read in my area. So he's confused. So what does he do? He refers to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he comes, he asks him, what's the problem? This man, Ya Ali, this man is claiming that these verses of, he was caught drinking, this man is claiming that these verses of drinking, not allowing drinking, were never revealed to him. What should be done? Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, take two people, go to his area, ask the people over there, were the verses of not drinking, were they revealed over here, were they told over here or no? If they say no, they weren't, then let the man go. Give him a warning and let him go. But if they say no, they were, and he still drank, then punish him. He's lying. So what did they do? They listened to Amir al-Mu'mineen. They sent two people. They found out that no, these verses were not revealed. These verses were not read over there. They let him go. The first case that was brought to Umar, it involved a youth. The mother, after the father passed away, the mother didn't claim this youth to be her son. And whatever money that the father had left behind, she claimed that that was her right. And this youth, he was asking for his share of inheritance. So he was upset one day to a point where he gets mad and he says something against his mom. When he says something against his mother, Umar, he hears it and he gets mad. He gets mad and he's about to whip him. And he says, why are you going to punish me? He goes, why are you cursing at your mother like this? And this youth, he says, that's because this woman, she's disowned me. She doesn't claim me as my kid. She doesn't claim me as her kid anymore. My father passed away. She's taken all the money. She doesn't want to give me the inheritance. So what does Umar do? He says, okay, let's see if what you're saying is true. He calls the woman and he says, this is what he's saying. Is this your son? She says, no, this isn't my son. This isn't my son. She got 40 people to testify with her that no, this person isn't her son. So what happens? He was about to punish this man. And while they were taking this youth away, he sees Amir al-Mu'mineen walk by and he says, Ya Ali, please can you help me? Amir al-Mu'mineen, he asked him, what's the problem? He said, this happened, Umar, he made this decision and now they're going to go punish me. And what does Amir al-Mu'mineen do? He tells the two soldiers that were carrying him, he says, go take him back. I'm going to come there right now, take him back to Umar. They bring the youth back to Umar. When they bring the youth back to Umar, Umar says, why did you bring him back? You were supposed to punish him. They said, Amir al-Mu'mineen, we ran into him and he told us to take him back. And when they got there, Amir al-Mu'mineen got there too. And when Amir al-Mu'mineen got there, he says, where's the woman? Where's the woman that he's claiming to be the mother? They bring the woman. And he asked her, are you his mother? And the woman says, no, I'm not his mother, Ya Ali. I'm not his mother. she brings the 40 witnesses again. And Amir al-Mu'minin says, okay, you're not the mother? Then do you allow me to do something? And she goes, yes, what is it? I marry him to you. And he tells Khamsa to go bring a certain amount of dinars for the mahar. I marry this youth to you for this amount of mahar. Do you accept? And she goes, no. He goes, why? He goes, Ya Ali, that's my son. Ya Ali, that's my son. And Amir al-Mu'minin asked, when you came in front of him, why did you claim that this wasn't your son? Why did you claim that this wasn't your son? Ya Ali, I'm very sorry, but this is my son, I can't marry him. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do. And what does Umar say? He says, if Ali wasn't there, then Umar would have perished. Over 25 times that he said this. 25 times. That means what? That means that at the very least 25 cases were brought in front of him where he judged wrong. Where he judged wrong. And he says, if it wasn't for Ali, I would have perished. In the time of Usman, similar case. In the time of Usman ended up leaving the bounds of Islam to a point where the companion of the Holy Prophet themselves, they killed him. The companion of the Holy Prophet themselves, they killed Usman. Radiallahu anhu for the killers, radiallahu anhu for the murdered. Where's the logic in this? Where's the aql in this? These are the foundations, the disobedience to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet. Both of these foundations have this in common. Disobedience to the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The foundations of what led to the events of Karbala happening. And these are the foundations that you and I need to look at. How these commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how obedient we're being to them and how disobedient we're being to them. The picking and choosing that a lot of us do, this is what we need to look at. No, when it comes to Islam, you do not pick and choose what commands you follow. You follow everything that's already written. That's it. Once you've decided that Islam is the way of life for you, is the right religion for you, is the right course of life for you, then there's no picking and choosing what laws you follow anymore. No. You live in this country. Once you decide that you want to live in this country and you become a citizen of this country, you can't pick and choose what laws you want to follow. You follow every single law this country has. That's it. So when you've decided that Islam is the religion that you want to follow, then you don't pick and choose what laws you want to follow. You follow every law within Islam, even if it's detrimental to you. Even if you feel that it's detrimental to you, you follow it. Just the same way you follow the laws of this land. Even if you feel that it's not in your benefit, you still follow it. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, وَمَا كَانَ لِمُؤْمِنٍ وَلَا مُؤْمِنَةٍ إِذَا قَضَى اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ أَمْرًا أَنْ يَكُونَ لَهُمُ الْخَيْرَةُ مِنْ أَمْرِهِمْ. It's not for a believing man or a believing woman that they should have a say in a matter when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet have already decided on a matter. Meaning if the Holy Prophet has already said something, I don't have a say in it anymore. That's it. When the Holy Prophet has said something, I don't have a say in that matter anymore. It doesn't matter what it is. If the Holy Prophet has given a command, that's it. I don't have a say. My job, my duty is to obey that command. That's it. This verse applies where? everywhere in the individual's life, every single minute of the life of those companions, this verse applies to them. When the Holy Prophet has already decided on a matter, even if it's a personal matter, meaning what? Meaning if you have an argument between two people, if I have an argument with someone else and I go in front of the Holy Prophet and he decides on the matter, that's it. If he decides against me, I don't have a say in it anymore. If he decides for me, the other person doesn't have a say in it anymore. That's it. The matter has already been decided by whom? The Holy Prophet. It's the same as it's being decided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 1. 2, if I'm in front of the Holy Prophet and he commands me to do something, it's necessary for me to do it. It's necessary for me to do it. So when the Holy Prophet asked for pen and paper, it became necessary for the companions to bring pen and paper. It became necessary. Why? It was a command. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says it's not becoming. It's not for a believing man or a believing woman that they should have any choice in the matter when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet have decided on a matter. And whoever disobeys, this is the end of the verse. Whoever disobeys Allah as an apostle, Allah and His messenger, surely strays a manifest straying. Whoever disobeys the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's messenger, they've strayed from the right path. So when these people, they disobeyed the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's messenger by not bringing pen and paper, did they not stray from that right path of Sirat al-Mustaqim? They strayed. They strayed. One other example they give why Umar didn't allow for the pen and paper is what? They say that Umar, he was afraid that the Holy Prophet would write down something that would be too difficult for the Ummah to follow. Too difficult for the Ummah to adhere to. Too difficult for the Ummah to adhere to. So Umar knows better about what the Ummah will adhere to than the Holy Prophet himself. Umar knows better than the Holy Prophet. But the real reason why Umar, he didn't want to give that pen and paper to the Holy Prophet. In Sharh Nahju Balagha, Ibn Abil Hadid, Mu'tazili, who's a Sunni scholar, he has a narration where Abdullah ibn Abbas, he's with Umar, and Umar asked Abdullah, if I ask you something, will you answer? And Abdullah says, what is it? He goes, no, swear to me that you'll answer. He goes, if I know the answer, I'll answer. Does Ali still eye the Khilafat? This is in the time of Umar. Does Ali still eye Khilafat? Does he still think that it was his right? Abdullah, he says, yes, it was his right. It was taken away. What does Umar reply? He says that will that the Holy Prophet was going to write, I had a feeling that he was going to write that Ali was to succeed him. I had a feeling that the Holy Prophet was going to write Ali was to succeed him. But I didn't want authority, I didn't want Khilafat and Nabuwwat to be in the same household. I didn't want authority, meaning Khilafat. I didn't want Khilafat, I didn't want successorship and Nabuwwat to be in the same household. This was the reason that they didn't want that will to be written. There was no other reason. There was no ijtihad of Umar. There was no Umar knew better for the Ummah. No, this was the reason, just to take away that power from Amir al-Mu'mineen. And this was the second incident that led to what? That led to Karbala happening. These were the companions of the Holy Prophet. The companions of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, they knew that power truly belonged to Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam. They knew that that power, that khilafah truly belonged to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. That's why they were all ready to sacrifice their life for him. On the 10th of Muharram, on that night of the 10th of Muharram, what does Imam Hussain do? To test everyone, he shows everyone their state in Jannah. He shows each and every single one. He shows Habib his, he shows Muslim his, he shows all of them their state. He calls Abu al-Fazl Abbas and he asks him, Ya Abbas, do you not want to see your state in heaven? And Abbas, he replies, Ya Mawla, my heaven is wherever you're at. If you're here on earth, then this earth is my heaven. If you're up there, then that's my heaven. All of these companions were willing to sacrifice their life for whom? Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam. All of them. None of them were there for power. None of them believed that Imam Hussain alayhi salam, or they're siding with Imam Hussain alayhi salam just so they could have some power. No, none of them believed that. All of them, were already told that they were going to be shaheed tomorrow. They were already told that. What's more difficult? What's more difficult? You not knowing whether or not you're going to be killed tomorrow? Or you knowing you're going to be killed tomorrow and still going through with it? What's more difficult? You not knowing that this route that you're taking, there's danger in this route? Or you knowing for a fact that this route that I'm taking, there's danger in this route, and you're still taking that route? The second scenario is more difficult. Why? What do we say? Rizan bi qazaik wa tasliman li amrik. Being razi with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already decided. Knowing that you're going to be shaheed tomorrow and still going through with it, that's more difficult than not knowing. Why? Because you can always leave. You can always leave. These people that knew that they were going to be shaheed, could they leave if they wanted to? They could have left. They could have left. But they chose not to. They chose to stay with Imam Hussain alayhi salam. Brothers, sisters, after the events of Karbala, after Asra Ashur, the enemies of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain alayhi salam, the narrations, they state that they brought fire to the tents of Lady Zainab salawatullahi anha. Some of the narrations, they state that they set all of the tents on fire at once. Other narrations, they state, no, they set one tent on fire, everyone would run out of that tent, they'd go into another tent. They'd set that tent on fire, they'd run out and they'd go into another tent. Until finally they came to the tent where Imam Zain al-Abidin was at. Sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah. Sallallahu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Sallallahu alayka ya Siddiqatu Fatima. Sallallahu alayka ya Hasan al-Mujtaba. Sallallahu alayka ya Gharib al-Ghuraba. Ya Aba Abdullah al-Hussain. Brothers and sisters, when they set those tents on fire, Lady Zainab, she runs into the tent with Imam Zain al-Abidin, and she sees that the tent is catching fire. And she looks at Imam Zain al-Abidin and she says to him, "Oh, my son Sajjad, you're the Imam of the time. What should we do? The tents are on fire and we don't have scarves over our head. Should we stay in these tents and should we all burn, or should we run outside? You're the Imam of the time. Whatever you command, we will do." Imam Zain al-Abidin, he cries and he says, "Oh, auntie dear, no, it's not becoming that we stay in the tents. Everyone needs to run outside." They all run outside. Lady Zainab and some of the women, they help Sayyid Sajjad come from the floor. They pick him up from the floor of the tent. They bring him outside. When they were all running outside, the children, they all run one way. The elders, they run one way. The women, they run one way. And what does Shimr do? He catches some of the children. Some of the narrations, they say that he catches Sakina and he snatches her earrings off, and when he snatches that earring off, the earlobe, it starts to bleed. When she calls out for her father, he slaps Lady Sakina in the face. Every time she would call for her father, she would be slapped in the face. The narrations say that in that time period, all of these people, they ran one way. Lady Sakina, she runs towards Najaf saying, Ya Jaddi, Ya Jaddi. Muslim, he writes that this little girl, she was coming towards me. When she came towards me, I go towards her, and she puts her little hands up and she says, "Oh stranger, please do not hurt me. I have nothing else to give anymore. They've already stolen everything." And he says, "Oh my dear daughter, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to put out the fire on your clothes." When he puts out the fire, Sakina, she says, "Can you tell me the way to Najaf?" He says, "Who's there in Najaf? Why do you want to go to Najaf?" Lady Sakina, she says, "My grandfather Ali is in Najaf. I'm going to him. I'm going to complain to him about everything that's happened to me." He points towards the way to Najaf. She's going that path, and there's a stranger who comes from Najaf. He picks little Sakina up in his lap, and he says to her, "Oh my daughter, where are you going?" She says to him that, "I'm going to Najaf." "Who's in Najaf?" "My grandfather Ali is in Najaf." When she says it, Lady Zainab Swata, she has found all of the children. She comes to this man and she says, "Oh kind sir, you found this daughter. She was the most beloved of Hussain. I was looking for this daughter. Please, can you give this daughter back to me?" What does this stranger do? He puts this child down on the ground and he says just one time, "Zainab." When he says Zainab one time, she turns around and she says, "Oh stranger, how do you know who I am? How do you know my name?" This stranger, he unveils himself and he says, "Oh my daughter Zainab." When he says, "Oh my daughter Zainab," Lady Zainab, she starts to cry and she says, "Oh my father, now you have come. Oh father dear, I called you when they martyred my brother Abbas. I called you, you didn't come. When they martyred Ali al-Akbar, I called you, you did not come. When they martyred Hussain, I called you, you did not come. And now you have come." Lady Zainab, she takes Sakina back. She takes Sakina back to the camp. It's midnight now. All of the children, all of the women, they're resting. The wife of Hur, she comes with a skin of water and she says to Lady Zainab, "Oh bint Rasul, I've bought this water." And Lady Zainab, she asks, "Oh, who are you? Oh lady, who are you?" She says that, "I'm the wife of Hur. I bought this water for this caravan." And Lady Zainab, she says, "Does anyone want water?" No one replies, even though they were thirsty. Not even the children reply. She looks around, and when she looks around, then she looks at Lady Sakina. Lady Sakina, she says to her, "Oh auntie dear, are you looking at me because I'm the youngest in this group?" "I'm not the youngest. Ali Laskar was the youngest." When she says this, she stands up and she says, "Oh bint Rasul, do you give me permission?" And Lady Zainab, she says, "Do you want to take water? Rubab, do you want to take water?" "Yes, Zainab, just give me permission." When she gives him permission, she says, "Oh Rubab, what are you going to do with this water?" She takes that water, she says, "I'm going to go out into the desert and say, Ali al-Asghar, your mother finally has some water." Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Wallahatullahi wa al-qawmi al-kazibin. Matab Hussain. Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain, Ya Hussain.
بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی۔ خیموں سے گیا میں تو، خیموں سے گیا میں تو، پھر بات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی۔ سینے پہ سول بیٹی شبیر نے کہا، سینے پہ سول بیٹی شبیر نے کہا، سینے پہ سونے والی، سینے پہ سونے والی، پھر رات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی۔ ان سب سے پیار لے لے جی بھر کے سکینہ، ان سب سے پیار لے لے جی بھر کے سکینہ، اکبر کی یہ پاکیزہ، اکبر کی یہ پاکیزہ بارات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی۔ جو کوفہ میں سنگ باری اور شام میں ہوگی، جو کوفہ میں سنگ باری اور شام میں ہوگی، دیکھی تو کبھی ایسی، دیکھی تو کبھی ایسی برسات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی۔ بابا سکینہ تیری وہ بیٹی بنے گی، بابا سکینہ تیری وہ بیٹی بنے گی، کرتی جو مصائب پہ، کرتی جو مصائب پہ شکایات نہ ہوگی، بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات ہمت بدذات نہ ہوگی بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی خیموں سے گیا میں تو خیموں سے گیا میں تو پھر بات نہ ہوگی بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی بیٹی کبھی بابا سے ملاقات نہ ہوگی یا حسین 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 اللہم صلی علی محمد اللہم صلی علی محمد السلام علیکم یا نبی اللہ السلام علیکم یا حبیب اللہ السلام علیکم یا حجت اللہ السلام علیکم یا رحمت للعالمین السلام علیکم یا باعث الہدی ورحمت اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم یا امیر المومنین السلام علیکم یا صلب الدین السلام علیکم یا علی ابن ابی طالب علیہ السلام السلام علیکم یا بنت رسول اللہ السلام علیکم یا فاطمہ الزہرا سید النساء العالمین السلام علیکم یا ابا محمد حسن مجتبی علیہ السلام السلام علیکم یا ابا عبداللہ حسین علیہ السلام السلام علیکم یا مظلوم کربلا السلام علیکم ابن رسول اللہ السلام علیکم ابن امیر المومنین و ابن سید الوسیین السلام علیکم ابن فاطمہ الزہرا سید النساء العالمین السلام علیکم یا مولانا ابو الفضل العباس علیہ السلام السلام علیکم یا قمر بن ہاشم السلام علیکم یا ابتصار مطیع للہ ورسولہ السلام علیکم علی ابن حسین علیہ السلام السلام علیکم اولاد الحسین علیہ السلام السلام علیکم اصحاب الحسین علیہ السلام السلام علیکم محمد بن علی علیہ السلام السلام علیکم جعفر بن محمد علیہ السلام السلام علیکم موسیٰ بن جعفر علیہ السلام السلام علیکم علی بن موسیٰ علیہ السلام السلام علیکم یا مولانا غریب الغرباء السلام علیکم معین الضعفاء الفقراء السلام علیکم شمس الشموس انیس النفوس اجوال المدفوع بیرز توس السلام علیکم محمد بن علی علیہ السلام السلام علیکم علی بن محمد علیہ السلام السلام علیکم حسن بن علی علیہ السلام السلام علیکم یا مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان اللمان 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 من فتنة الزمان السلام علیکم یا خلیفۃ الرحمن السلام علیکم شریک القرآن السلام علیکم یا امام الانس والجان اجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وصال اللہ تعالی مخرجک وظہورک ورحمت اللہ وبرکاتہ اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد اللہم کل ولیک الحجت ابن الحسن صلواتک علیہ وعلی آبائی فی هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
I will bring it to you. When is the day that's going? Notes I need to exchange. It's $20 bill.
Don't go for the end of the contract.
No, no.
Some people, yeah. You have it still too.
Are you coming on Thursday? Would you let's go? But the one
I mean, feel free to disagree.
but
How much is total?
I would say same.
Oh yeah, that. I will, now the banks are closed on the weekend, because I usually go to the bank and have them change. If I can, maybe I might be able to. Same. Then what I'll do? No.
I was worried because it's close to work.
No.